Hey, welcome into this edition of the GASO Cast, episode 10, season 4. We are live. We've been getting a lot of work done. I'm working here in the dark. I just realized it's a cold day. So that's why we're doing that. But before we get started, let's do some housekeeping. We're everywhere right now. And if you're not following us on social, if you're not a part of the GASO Fast Break, I'm sorry to you. We are getting tons of content out and tons of talk about all the prospects in our great state of Texas. We have a team rankings drop tomorrow. We worked very diligently on that this morning. A lot of arguing, a lot of headaches. And yeah, that'll be really fun to see how that plays out. Recruiting Simplified Patreon, jump on there. I'm putting out interviews with college coaches. I just did one with Ryan Glenny at DBU. Got a lot of great recruiting nuggets. If you want to hear that, sign up for my Patreon. You can find that on my Twitter. Showcase and bracket schedules. They're still going strong. Tournaments. So go to the Great American Shootout website and look at the top, and you can find all the tournaments around the state of Texas. Yeah, we're live. So let's just jump in right here. Okay. Month one surprise. What is a storyline or a team that has surprised you this season? I'm looking at some of our answers here, and they go in a million different directions. This is fun. But Lyndon, I'm going to pass it to you first to kind of set the stage.
Yeah, and for me, because y'all are going to get into some specific things, but just Class 5 in general is all over the place. And we kind of thought it would because Class 5A, the last couple of years, there's been the separation at the top, not as really as much depth, but this year it's so deep. And you're not going to have an undefeated 5A team run the table because everybody's beating up on everybody. I mean, Fort Bend Marshall's had a really good year running all the way to the McDonald's Invitational championship game. The Colony still missing a key piece who, when he comes back, they're a completely different team. I mean, this is going to get interesting fast. There's not really a regional favorite even that you can kind of point to across the board and say, you know what, we can pencil them in that state semifinal round. That's not the case this year.
Michael, I think your case right here, or your big surprise, or your big statement that you're making, goes right along with what Lyndon's saying. So I'm going to pass it to you.
Yeah, when we're talking about the rankings headache that we had today, it's beautiful chaos. But a lot of times when we're arguing, we're like, well, look at the strength of schedule, look at this, look at that. And I found myself over and over again valuing some of these teams that may not have the most sexy record on paper, but you look at who they've played, look how close they've played. And when you're not at all these games, that's one or two possessions could have gone this or that way from having a really good record against really good teams. So I found myself giving a boost to these teams that, maybe let's say a 6-4 opposed to like a 10-1 or a 10-0. Don't get me wrong. These teams watching right now, coaches that are undefeated, they're probably looking at me like, hey, well, we haven't lost. Like, we'll take that just as easily. But I'm finding myself with no clear-cut favorite like Lyndon talks about. These teams that are battle tested, it's just going to bode well for them in tight games down the stretch when it really, really gets interesting.
And the goal is to be peaking in February, March, not right now.
Right.
Like, you're number one
Yeah.
right now. You're now the hunted. You're not the hunter anymore, and that gets very interesting really fast. You're going to see who's about it. And Blue, that goes nicely to kind of your Brennan call a couple weeks ago. It's like, why not Brennan?
Yeah, they just slid right in there. And I think that we saw this coming. They had to go to Pasadena, which y'all were at, and really show the state, hey, this could just very well, this has to be their year. And so, then with that number one, but just like what's surprising is, or shouldn't be surprising, is that you have somebody like a coach like Wes Watson that's over at Lovejoy, and they're 10-0. There's some guys that some teams that you may have thought have gone off to a slow start, along with Lyndon and what Michael is saying. But you know what? They're playing this high level competition early, and to set them up for their district and for their playoff stretch. We can pinpoint at the Colony as one of those teams. I think in some ways, maybe Harlan is also a team that eventually we'll start talking a lot more of, because they've taken some hits early and they're trying to get all of their pieces together because they have had some injuries early on. So there's a lot of little things going on across the state that we've been able to pick up on and see and hear. And so it should be an interesting district play as it starts tonight. And I think some teams have already started district in some instances. So
pretty wild. And to that point, just kind of our ranking logic, when there's a team like the Colony who maybe has not gotten off to the best start, you got to just look at the whole picture. Like X Green, that guy means so much to that team. So like when he returns, they're just a completely new team. So you're going to see guys, and you know what? Retweet it, disagree with it. We love it. Like we love this time of year. We want to see all of the people commenting and giving us perspectives because it makes us better. We love it.
Yeah, on IG, like it's like when we post our rankings on Instagram, it gets the most traction possible, and the whole like my favorite comments are the laughing emojis, or the LOLs, or the sleep emojis. Like those are our favorite ones. But at the end of the day, like we're human, we're arguing with each other on these rankings. Like we're very, very definitive too. We're like no, you're dumb. So don't get it twisted. Like these rankings are, we're arguing about them too. So I may have vouched for some of the guys and vice versa, but no, we appreciate the traction that they get, and I'm glad that they matter to y'all. And we always say, just go win, and they take care of themselves.
Very, very easy. On the other side of the coin, I just want to say thank you to some of the teams who have made ranking easy. So like these are good records with a lot of quality wins, a lot of quality opponents. And, I'm just going to throw some out there. Brennan, Parish Episcopal, their only loss coming to Link. Lake Highlands, 8-1, and they're very young. Duff's building something again. Then you got Lovejoy, 10-0, Blue mentioned earlier. Birdville sitting at 9-1. Green Hill, Shadow Creek, Fort Bend Trail. I could go on and on and on. But there are some teams who had made the ranking process easy on us when it's just really easy to slide them in. I mean, there was a team that I texted y'all after we got off the thing, and I was like, hey, what about this team? No response. Hey, what about this team? No response. Everybody was over it. Like we are fighting in tooth and nail. And I think when I sent that, everybody was like, no, we've settled. So you know what? We're gonna let the teams battle it out on the court, but that's fun. Fun segment there. Let's move on to our next segment. This is more player centric. What is that one performance? We've been gone. We skipped last week of the GASO cast because we were all over the place, and Thanksgiving, obviously. So we've got a lot in our Rolodex to talk about. So what was the one performance over the past, 8 days of games that really took your attention? And I'm going to pass it to you, Lyndon.
I don't think that, if you were at the main court Friday at Hoop Fest, that there's any other contender for this if you watched the Brennan game, because Talon Todd, was unconscious. Could not miss, was stepping into everything with the utmost confidence, and he wasn't even drawing iron. Hit 8 threes, had 26 points. Was one of those just kind of eye openers, because you love his defense, you love what he can do in transition with the ball, but when he's shooting the ball like that, that's gives him even more upside to his game as from a recruiting standpoint. And you talk about Kingston Fleming's only taking 4 shots but handing out 13 assists. Come on now. That's big time in a blowout win over O'Connell from Virginia.
Yeah, no, it's really fun. And, there's always these players that they get the stage because of maybe someone else. Maybe it's Kingston Fleming's, ascension, and now Talon's getting to perform on this stage and getting his name out there. It's just so cool to watch these guys really step up in these big moments. And then, when Kingston leaves, we're going to see the confidence. We're kind of seeing it with Plano East, like just the culture, the confidence, all the next guy up stepping into those big roles and making things easy. I didn't even mention them, and the team's making it easy to rank.
I think
go ahead.
Real quick. I saw Charles Campbell of Hoop DFW interview Kingston after one of those Hoop Fest games with the crazy assist, and Kingston literally said that he watches his team shoot in warm-ups to see who's hitting shots. Right. And I'm like, if that's not the highest IQ situation, I guess Talon Todd was hitting shots in warm-ups because Kingston just kept feeding them. So I just thought that was very like high IQ type stuff from Kingston to like not go in there and try to windmill and do all these crazy dunks. He's observing who looks like they might be feeling it because he knows he's one of the best passers in the country, if not the best. I'll say he's the best.
And that goes into how he can dominate a game. He doesn't have to go score 30 points. Like he sits there and dishes out those those assists to his players by setting them up and creating.
Blue, why don't you continue the role?
Yeah, Carter Chisholm. I was sitting with Michael at the Lone Star showcase, and he's very wiry. He's got this really smooth delivery when he stops to take a shot. But it's just kind of funny. Like you see him just like reach for the ball, step back, hitting threes. I saw him go for 4 threes. He had about 618 points in a game, and it's just like his smoothness. I think about that like. He's a 26, just thinking like ahead to rankings and what I think about him compared to some other guys already, because those types of performances, it stuck with me enough that where it's been a week and it's just like, man, this guy has great feel. He's got the ability not just to hit jumpers, but also get to the basket and also defend because of his length. I mean, he's a well-rounded player, and Mount Pleasant's going to win a lot of games, and he's going to be part of that. Part of those big wins.
Love it, Mike.
Yeah, when we're talking about the story once again of 5A, how about down in Pasadena? It was late, Linden, Mass. We were all at our last game. I pop over to Pasadena Memorial. I think it was 50 degrees in the gym. I mean, when my boy Doug Jones is like, it's really cold in here, you know, time is freezing. Shout out to you, Doug. But Iowa Colony versus the Colony. Here comes the Colony with the number 1 player in our GASO state rankings, in Dakari Spear, and Houston knows about that. And not only does Houston know about it, here comes John Urie. And I will say this really quick about John Urie. Dakari makes a play, and Dakari looks at me and is like, hey, who's that? And I'm like, John, don't do this right now. And he's like, oh, okay. But BJ Gill and RJ Green, regardless of how loud John Urie was in the gym, they didn't like the Colony had a target on their back, and you see Iowa Colony, a team that even since that game dropped a few. You see the parity in this 5A division with 2 teams that are state contenders go at it, and you could see the way BJ Gill ran that show. You can see the way RJ Green took that next step as a senior. But just a high-level game between 2 big-time programs, and you can see very quickly that the state knows who the players are in the state, and it's just one of those old-fashioned. For me, I didn't grow up like I was just getting to the social media era. So in San Antonio when I played, we weren't friends with the other schools, and you could see that in this game to where, yeah, I know who you are, but it's none of that, oh, good game after the game. It's right to it. I want to go right after you. And it was very refreshing to see out of high-level basketball players. Iowa Colony gets the win and makes a big statement early on.
Love it. I'm going to go here, Hoop Fest, Jaden Toombs against Link. Incredible passer. I really try and come on here and talk about things that aren't talked about much. And, Jaden Toombs, we have ranked number 4 in our rankings. The kid is just incredible, though. He was making threes, and every time he touches the ball, it's a win. It's a point. If we're going off the metric of point per possession, Jaden Toombs is well over a point per possession. It's incredible. He touches the ball. He finds the open guy. You can run a lot through him if they're stepping out or if they're sagging off him. He'll knock down a shot. I was just very impressed by the play of Jaden Toombs, and I just feel like a guy who's still. I mean, he signed with SMU, all that stuff, and it just still feels like he's under the radar. Like he doesn't. Well, Mike, I like that. I like that. But
My face is way too close.
Jaden Toombs, he deserves all the credit he gets because he is a really, really incredible player, and he really makes that dynamic group go. Me and Michael's favorite segment, the Celsius Dude of the Weekend. Who is your pick-me-up performer, Lyndon?
Yeah, Sun Jin Cottle and Nolan Barkley. I needed it personally. The turkey, tryptophan, all that stuff was lingering Friday at Hoop Fest. And they just come out and shoot the lights out. I think Sun hit like 4 threes in the first quarter. And then Nolan Barkley just knocked down everything he looked at. They combined to hit 9 threes between them, and they took on a very strong performance from Mikey Williams. First time seeing him in a while now. He's at Germantown out of Mississippi, playing with Sam Funchess, another 7-footer that can shoot, can really play high-level game. But the way that Sun and Nolan were able to knock down shots, and then you throw in some Aiden Dessou in there as a high-energy guy to get my energy up to make it the rest of the day at Hoop Fest, really helped me out. So appreciate y'all for the performance.
Blue, you called me about this guy, and you called me after the game, and you were like, bro, this is the guy. Who is that?
It's Howie King from the Woodlands Christian. That's I actually went to games at Lone Star Showcase, came home, got real comfortable, I had to get out there to go see the Woodlands Christian at 7:00 at night, and it was probably one of the best games that I saw as they played Trinity Christian Addison. But Howie King has just like transformed his body. I think at one point I might have called him like a rugged type of forward, but now there's a lot of smoothness to his game. I'm talking about he's leaned up, he's matured, he's getting longer. It's like he's got this ability to be the trail forward or just be a guy that can take the ball and go. And it's just like his ability to stop and shoot and just like flick of the wrist type motion and his release, everything has just come together. He no longer has to be the just race you down the court. He is just putting together all of his skill and his athleticism, his ability to get off the floor and to go, if he's going to dunk it or just get above the defense to lay it in. There's a lot there that where I'm looking at him going, okay, he's already in my mind moving up the charts. And then you start thinking about how many guys really missed out on taking a guy that's just going to continue to get better as he gets into the collegiate ring.
Lyndon?
Yeah.
You already went.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Like,
my fault.
I'll go. So I'll set the stage here. Thanksgiving week, a lot of people get to breathe and decompress on a Monday. I thought I was going to do that for a little bit. Then Blue calls me and says, hey, I have something from you up in Frisco. Can you come earlier? So I'm kind of like, I got some things to do. So now I get that 35, 40-minute drive to Frisco. I'm there early. I'm kind of tired. I'm not feeling like myself. Blue leaves, and I'm here. But I finally get to that Frisco Heritage Melissa game. Cam Lomax, Bryson Howard versus Austin Gooseby. Celsius matchup, if I've ever seen one. Obviously, the headlines from just media guys is going to show the Austin Gooseby, even myself, 43 points in that game, and it was a 43 point that got a lot of traction. Let's just say that from the college coaches that started following me after I posted videos. Yeah, bad dude. But when you look at the other side of the ball with Cam Lomax and Bryson Howard, Cam Lomax is a superstar, and he plays the right way. As somebody like me, that's a camera guy naturally. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, you could probably do more, but he mixes in the right amount of flash plays with the right amount of like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win the game. And sometimes you just can't teach the type of stuff. And then Bryson Howard's a star in himself, and he just continues to fly around like nobody knows his name. And that's a scary 1-2 punch there. But Austin Gooseby gave them everything they could handle. And it was just a high level game with superstars all over the court in that 2026 class that, I mean, when we're looking in a few years, like, those are going to be some real dudes. And I'm not going to say the pro word right now because I never like to, but I mean, sometimes that's kind of what they look like.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll hop in here. It's kind of the same thing. It was cold Monday morning, or it might have been, it was Monday morning. And the Village School versus Fort Worth Southwest Christian. I did not know what I was getting myself into with Fort Worth Southwest Christian. They play fast. They move the ball up the floor, and they just want to shoot threes. And I love it. And, they're just a smaller group. So they're playing with this like elite pace to try and negate some of the big men. Evan Cochran would not let it happen. He went for 30 plus, knocking down threes, scoring inside, doing everything he wanted. But on the other side of the ball, you got Connor Yoakum knocking down shots in every angle possible, contorting his body, making ridiculous shots. I think he made 8 or 9 threes. He had 33 points. I mean, it was awesome to watch. He went on a smooth like heater, like 15 straight points for his team at one point in the game. I think it was in the second quarter. Evan Cochran's group did end up coming out on top, the Village School. But it was just both of these guys. You don't get to see a lot of dual 30-point games. And that was just really fun to see on a Monday morning when you weren't expecting it. This really fun style of basketball that Fort Worth Southwest Christian plays. And it was fun to watch, man. So that was my Celsius. I needed it. It was great. I love this. Michael put together this question here. Main gym performance. A back gym or a random game you were watching that was deserving of the main court. Lyndon, you have not gone yet, so now I'm going to pass it to you.
There we go. And it was on a main court. It was Arlington Martins, but just kind of one of those under-the-radar type events, under-the-radar type of performances from Max Hinman in Louisville. really, really impressed with what this kid does. There's no frills, no nonsense in his game. He gets straight to it. And his versatility as a bucket getter was what really stood out to me. He can step out and hit the three. He's good in the mid-range. He's opportunistic with steals. He's a good defender, so he's able to score in transition. And I think he ended up with 28 points in this win over Lakeview Centennial. And Lakeview Centennial's a rugged, tough team with a lot of size, so he wasn't getting those the easy way. He had to work for them, and he was really impressive in that 28-point game.
Love it. Blue?
Now, let me set the stage here for you. So I go down to South San Tournament, obviously in San Antonio, and they really are using a back gym because they're using San Antonio West Campus Gymnasium, which has been closed for at least a year or two. Like nobody even goes to school there, but the gym is great. What has happened here, the tournament is growing again. It's up to 32 teams. So winners, the winner side had to on day 2 had to go to West Campus, and I was there. And when you're getting text messages from other people going, "Hey, you're not going to come over here. They got the hospitality room." No, I'm staying here where these winners are. And so the San Antonio Connor East Central game, that was one easily that you could put on many stages. It was a back and forth game that saw San Antonio O'Connor come on top. Just East Central, they have a lot of youth, but the one guy that really like the performance of that particular game was Hagen Hurst, who 6'7". People call him Big Country. Yeah, he doesn't look like much, but he's hard to move, and he's scoring the ball, and they're going back and forth and running up and down the court in this game, and it was fun. And everything about this game could have been on the main court, which it was a back gym type of scenario. So that really made it even more fun to watch.
I'm going to step in here with the Prestonwood Christian versus Prince of Peace game. It was a movie, and it was the last game of the day, and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, Prince of Peace is up 18 points mid third quarter. You kind of get the feel of what's happening, but Prestonwood said not so fast. I'll just add to my friend, and Prestonwood just made play after play after play. Josh Massingale, Evan Duncan, and Blake Deacons just fought their way back. They're down 3 with about 8 seconds left, and Josh hits this like J.R. Smith type irrational confidence, just bang, goes into overtime. Next, they kind of run away with it. You think Prestonwood is going to just run away with the game. It's kind of over. Prince of Peace buries 2 threes late and then hits one with like 5 seconds left. Double overtime. Then back and forth. Prince of Peace is up by 2 or 3. Plano Prestonwood scores it, ties the game. They get a steal and then bury another 3 to or it might have been a pull-up J to take the lead. So I thought it was going to go into the triple overtime, but every single like regulation ending, I was just like, this is going to happen, and it just didn't. Prestonwood did end up getting the win, but it was just a wild game, and I got a lot of the shots on clutch shots, but it was a fun watch for sure. Michael, what was your main gym performance?
So, question real quick for y'all.
Yeah.
Do you either of y'all have Stony Point or Plano East back in San Antonio at the state tournament? Right of this second. But I mean, is that your pick? Probably not, right?
I haven't looked into it.
Hold up.
No, that's all I want to ask.
I talked about how Plano East is very dangerous. For the record.
No, that's what I want to ask. So both of these teams going to Hoop Fest this year a little different. As reigning state champs, there's not a lot of buzz because Hoop Fest has a lot of fans of basketball. That like last year, Stony Point's coming in with Josiah Mosley. Everybody's excited to see them.
Mm-hmm.
But both these programs come in, and what do? They handle business. And the scary thing about these two teams that know what the bright lights are, they have some dudes still coming back. DJ Hall, probably their best players back at Plano East, scores 34, I think, and 10. And they get a huge win, flying under the radar. They weren't the cream of the crop matchup down there at Hoop Fest. And then Uzziah Button scores 38, maybe, I believe.
38, 7, and 7.
38, 7, and 7. And they just go into Hoop Fest. Both these teams handle businesses and get out. And that's what championship teams do. So regardless of what the rankings say, who's lost what the season looks like, Stony Point and Plano East, I mean, like you said, Mass, when it gets deep into the playoffs, you're going to be looking at some of these matchups. And you're going to be like, well, crap. I know this team right here has played well, but they got to go and beat Plano East and Stony Point down the stretch, and that's harder. That's harder said than done. So I want to shout out those two teams that kind of ran under the radar at one of the biggest events in the country, but they know they belong. They handled business.
Yeah, programs for sure. I love this segment because it keeps us, talking about guys who have been in, the state and made noise. But Texas Hoopers balling at the next level. Who is that guy for you, Lyndon?
Yeah, and it's JT Toppin. One of the best freshmen in the country last year at New Mexico, winds up at Texas Tech. And if you look at the numbers, 18.6 points, 11 rebounds a game. I think that's sixth in the country for rebounds averaged. I mean, this dude has been electric. He was really good at Faith Family and has only gotten better every step along the way. Is one of the top sophomore forwards in the country right now.
Mike?
For me, Trent Walters, Indian Hills JUCO. They're emerging as potentially a top 5 JUCO in the country. And when you leave that D1 and go to JUCO, you see it a lot of times. Sometimes you get lost in the shuffle, but now you see Trent Walters, who, Mass, you loved him in high school, undeniable, one of your dudes. But he takes over the PG1 and he brings just this energy and this will to win that, a lot of guys sometimes go to the D1 back to JUCO. I played JUCO, so I saw this, and they're like, I'm the man, and they don't put in the work. And Trent Walters is trying to win at a high level, and it's showcasing. I'm averaging almost 10 and 5. Just doing everything we know he was capable of, and it's great to see the resurgence of him for that Indian Hill squad.
That's a great one. I'm gonna go with Amari Abrams. He's had some different touch points, but he's landed at La Tech and he's playing great there. He's averaging about 14, 15 points a game. And the thing about Amari, he's just so smooth and he just has real feel and real game to him. One of my favorite kids to watch in high school, but he is playing really, really well for La Tech, and they're having a lot of success right now. Blue?
One of the head scratchers that this commitment stuck, along with signing the letter for Isaac Williams to go to Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Like he's averaging almost 10 points a game, 5 assists and 3 rebounds. And if you look at his stats, I mean, just against Purdue, he goes out in 21 minutes, scores 12 points. Against New Mexico State, he plays 29 minutes, scores 21 points. He's doing the things that we knew that he could do at the Division I level. And so if you look over his last couple of games, his numbers have gone down slightly, only because he didn't have to play as many minutes, because they're in their kind of like a sigh of relief part of the schedule, because they went on the road to Purdue, they went on the road to New Mexico, they went on the road to New Mexico State. So his numbers have been consistent, but the amount of time on the court it's smaller, just because they've been able to keep leads and get some wins here. But I think we all knew that this was going to be a big possibility for him once going to the Southland Conference and possibly getting Freshman of the Year, first team all conference. I mean, there's a lot of basketball to be played, but there's a lot also to be excited about when you see a kid that's easily translating to the next level.
Love it. Last segment, where are you headed? We got games to go to this week. So, Lyndon, where are you going this weekend?
Yeah, I'm trying to go 5 for 5 and be at every single Austin area event this weekend. So I'll be on Twitter, and you can follow along with the journey as we go into that.
Blue was very impressed with his spreadsheet. For the record.
No, Michael's.
Oh, it's Michael's.
It was Michael's.
Sorry, Michael. Where are you?
I got a text
Blue
from
was very
Lyndon.
impressed with your spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Me and Lyndon had to put together our Austin schedules yesterday, and it came out better than I thought it would, because there's so much basketball. But I will also be covering the Central Texas area, along with a stop Saturday in San Antonio at the North Side ISD, 5th place game, 3rd place game, and championship game as well. So I'm excited to get down to that region.
I will be at the Knights of Columbus, which is Dallas Jesuits tournament, Spring Creek. Kind of seeing how that is going to play out for Friday, seeing where I need to go and see teams. And then I'll be going to Grace Prep on Saturday. Kind of same deal, kind of feeling it out as we go. Blue, where are you headed?
I'm headed to League City for the Clear Creek ISD tournament. It's when you get to Houston, you got to just keep going south. And when you think you've driven far enough, just go a little bit further. And so I'll start there. I'll be there all day on Thursday. Then I will go over to the Houston Christian tournament over in the Katy area. And a lot of hoops for all of us coming up here in the next couple of days.
Yeah, it's a fun
Love it.
weekend, and then next weekend is another doozy. So that's going to do it for this edition of the GASO Cast. Thanks for joining us. Make sure that you are following us on Twitter. I'm GASO Mass, at GASO Blue, at GASO Linden, at iFilm Hoopers. And then our main site, we're going to be putting out content all weekend. And make sure you are subscribed to the GASO Fast Break. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.